Welcome to our channel, where we uncover the most chilling and mysterious tales from around the world. Today, we journey to the vibrant and historic city of Dublin, Ireland's bustling capital. Known for its rich cultural heritage, lively streets, and iconic landmarks, Dublin is a city that seamlessly blends the old with the new. But beneath its charming surface lies a darker, more enigmatic side. From the ancient halls of Trinity College to the bustling lanes of Grafton Street, Dublin is a city steeped in history, and with history comes ghosts. Join us as we explore some of Dublin's most haunted locations, where restless spirits from the past linger and eerie encounters await. Prepare to be captivated by the haunting tales of the Guinness Storehouse, where a tragic accident has left a soul forever bound to its walls, the ghostly figure on Grafton Street, searching for a lost brother, the spectral presence at Trinity College seeking redemption, the sorrowful wails by the River Liffey, and the mysterious Green Lady of St. Stephen's Green. Sit back, dim the lights, and get ready to uncover the ghostly secrets of Dublin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more supernatural stories from around the globe. Now, let's begin our journey into Dublin's haunted history. The haunting of the Guinness Storehouse. The Guinness Storehouse is one of Dublin's most iconic landmarks. As the birthplace of the world-famous stout, it attracts thousands of visitors each year. But beyond the cheerful atmosphere and the scent of brewing barley, there is a lesser-known tale that chills the hearts of those who dare to hear it. It was a quiet evening in the off-season when I decided to take a private tour of the storehouse. The staff were accommodating, allowing me to explore their historic building after hours. As I wandered through the exhibits, marveling at the history of Guinness, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. I made my way to the upper floors, where the brewing process was showcased in intricate detail. The air grew colder as I approached the area once used as the fermentation room. I paused, listening to the faint echoes of machinery long silenced. Suddenly, I heard a soft whisper, barely audible over the creaking of the old wooden floors. "Help me." I turned quickly, but there was no one there. Dismissing it as my imagination, I continued my tour. However, the sense of being watched persisted. As I entered the gravity bar, hoping to enjoy the panoramic view of Dublin, I saw a figure standing by the window. It was a man, dressed in old-fashioned brewery overalls, gazing out over the city. "Excuse me," I called out, but he didn't move. I approached cautiously, and as I drew nearer, he turned to face me. His eyes were hollow, filled with an indescribable sorrow. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, he vanished. Shaken, I returned to the ground floor and found a staff member, an elderly man named Seamus. I recounted my experience, expecting him to laugh it off. Instead, he nodded solemnly. "You've seen Michael," Seamus said. "He was a brewer here in the late 1800s. One night, there was an accident. Michael fell into one of the vats and drowned. His body was never recovered. Some say his spirit still roams the storehouse, seeking someone to help him find peace." Seamus's story sent shivers down my spine. As I left the Guinness Storehouse that evening, I couldn't help but glance back at the building, half expecting to see Michael's sorrowful figure watching me go. To this day, I can't drink a pint of Guinness without remembering the haunted look in his eyes and wondering if his spirit ever found the solace it sought. The Ghost of Grafton Street. Grafton Street is the heart of Dublin's shopping district, bustling with street performers, tourists, and locals alike. But as vibrant as it is by day, it holds secrets that are only revealed in the quiet hours of the night. One late evening, I found myself walking down Grafton Street after meeting friends for dinner. The shops were closed, and the usual crowds had dissipated, leaving the street eerily silent. As I passed by the closed storefronts, I noticed a young woman standing under a lamppost. She was dressed in a long, old-fashioned dress, her hair neatly pinned up. "Are you all right?" I asked, approaching her. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with fear. "Have you seen my brother?" she asked, her voice trembling. Before I could respond, a cold breeze swept down the street, and the woman began to fade. I blinked, and she was gone. Confused and a little frightened, I hurried home and decided to investigate the next day. At the library, I found an old newspaper article from the early 1900s. It told the story of a young woman named Emily who had disappeared on Grafton Street. She had been searching for her brother, who had gone missing during the Easter Rising. Emily's body was found days later in a nearby alley, her spirit seemingly unable to rest. Intrigued and unsettled, I returned to Grafton Street the following evening, hoping to see Emily again. As I walked, I felt a sudden drop in temperature and saw a faint glow near the lamppost where I had first seen her. There she was, looking just as lost and frightened as before. "I haven't found him yet," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Can you help me?" "I'll try," I promised, though I wasn't sure how. Over the next few weeks, I delved deeper into Emily's story, visiting archives and speaking with historians. I discovered that her brother had been killed during the uprising, his body never identified. Armed with this information, I visited Emily's resting place, speaking softly to the air. "Your brother is at peace, Emily," I said. "You can rest now." The air grew warm, and I felt a sense of calm wash over me. That night, I returned to Grafton Street and saw no sign of Emily. She had finally found her peace, and the ghost of Grafton Street was seen no more. The Phantom of Trinity College. Trinity College, Dublin, is renowned for its academic excellence and historic campus. But beyond its scholarly facade lies a tale of heartbreak and loss that echoes through its ancient halls. As a student at Trinity, I often studied late into the night at the old library. One evening, I was engrossed in my books when I heard faint footsteps echoing down the corridor. Thinking it was another student, I paid little attention. But the footsteps grew louder, more insistent, until I felt compelled to investigate. I followed the sound to the long room, where the ancient manuscripts are kept. There, in the dim light, I saw a figure standing by one of the windows. It was a young man dressed in 18th century clothing, his face pale and sorrowful. He was staring intently at an old, tattered book. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He turned to me, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. "I am Robert Emmet," he said. "I was once a student here, before my life was cut short." I recognized the name instantly. Robert Emmet was a famous Irish nationalist who had been executed for his role in the 1803 rebellion. His ghostly presence in the college library seemed both tragic and fitting. "Why are you here?" I asked. "I seek redemption," he replied. "I failed in my mission, and many suffered because of it. I cannot find peace." Moved by his plight, I decided to help. I began researching Emmet's life and his final days, uncovering details of his trial and execution. I discovered that Emmet had written a final letter to his beloved Sarah Curran, a letter that had never reached her. Determined to bring closure to his restless spirit, I searched the archives until I found a copy of the letter. I brought it to the long room, where I had first seen Emmet. "Robert," I called softly. "I have something for you." His ghostly form appeared once more, and I handed him the letter. He read it silently, a tear rolling down his cheek. "Thank you," he whispered. "You have given me peace." As he faded away, I felt a profound sense of relief, knowing that Robert Emmet's spirit could finally rest. The story of the Phantom of Trinity College became one of the many legends whispered among students, a testament to the enduring power of love and redemption. The Wailing on the River Liffey. The River Liffey flows through the heart of Dublin, its waters carrying centuries of history and mystery. But on certain nights, the river is said to echo with the sorrowful cries of a lost soul. One summer evening, I was walking along the Liffey's banks, enjoying the cool breeze and the city's lights reflecting off the water. The bustling sounds of Dublin began to fade as I reached a quieter stretch of the river. Suddenly, I heard a mournful wail carried by the wind. The sound was so haunting that I stopped in my tracks, looking around for its source. There, near the Harpenny Bridge, I saw a woman standing at the edge of the river. She was dressed in a long, flowing gown, her hair loose and wild. She seemed to be searching for something in the water. "Are you all right?" I called out, moving closer. She turned to me, and I could see the anguish in her eyes. "I am looking for my child," she said, her voice trembling. "He was taken by the river." Before I could say anything else, she disappeared, leaving only the sound of her wails behind. Intrigued and disturbed, I decided to learn more about her. I visited local historians and combed through old records. I discovered the tragic story of Anne Devlin, a woman who lived in Dublin during the early 19th century. Anne's son had drowned in the Liffey, and she had spent the rest of her life searching for his body, never finding it. Her grief was so profound that it was said her spirit continued to search the riverbanks even after her death. Determined to help and find peace, I arranged a small ceremony by the river. I gathered a few friends, and we lit candles in memory of her lost child. We said a prayer, hoping to guide her spirit to rest. As we stood by the river, the air grew still, and a sense of calm descended upon us. The wailing ceased, replaced by the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. I knew then that Anne had found the peace she had long sought. The story of Anne Devlin's ghost became a part of Dublin's folklore, a reminder of the enduring power of a mother's love and the haunting beauty of the River Liffey. The Green Lady of St. Stephen's Green. St. Stephen's Green is a tranquil oasis in the heart of Dublin, its lush gardens and serene pathways offering a respite from the city's hustle and bustle. But as peaceful as it seems, the green hides a story of love and loss that lingers in the shadows. One afternoon, I decided to take a leisurely walk through St. Stephen's Green. The sun was shining, and the park was filled with families and tourists enjoying the beautiful day. As I strolled along one of the quieter paths, I noticed a woman sitting alone on a bench, dressed in a striking green dress. She seemed out of place, her attire reminiscent of a bygone era. Curious, I approached her, but as I got closer, she stood and began to walk away. I called out to her, but she didn't respond. Instead, she walked towards the small lake at the center of the park. I followed, keeping a respectful distance. She stopped at the water's edge and turned to look at me, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. "Are you all right?" I asked gently. "I am waiting for him," she replied, her voice barely audible over the sounds of the park. "Who are you waiting for?" I inquired, but she simply shook her head and turned back to the water. A moment later, she vanished, leaving me standing there, bewildered. I shared my experience with a local historian who told me the story of Eliza O'Donnell, a young woman who had fallen in love with a soldier during the 18th century. The soldier had promised to return to her, but he was killed in battle. Eliza had waited for him in St. Stephen's Green, day after day, until she too passed away, her spirit forever bound to the place of their promised reunion. Determined to help her, I returned to the park with a white rose, a symbol of eternal love. I placed it on the bench where I had first seen her, whispering, "He is at peace, Eliza. You can rest now." As I walked away, I felt a gentle breeze and the faint scent of roses in the air. The Green Lady of St. Stephen's Green had finally found the peace she had been waiting for, her story a poignant reminder of love that transcends even death.